Om Namo Sri Ramanaya. Being celebration of Advent Day, it would be most appropriate to begin by recalling a few lines from Sri Arunachala Ashtakam, which portrays the spirit of Bhagavan's arrival at Holy Hill, Arunachala. Harivaru giriyana amardarum amma adisayam idan seyal arivarirarkum அறிவரு சிறுவயதது முதல் அருணா சலம் மிக பெரிதென அறிவினிலங்க அருகிலன் அதன் பொருள் அது திருவண்ணா மலையென ஒருவரால் அறிவுற பெற்றும் அறிவினை மருளுரு தருகினில் ஈர்க்க அருகுரும் அமயம் இதஜலம கண்டேன். When Suritaji emailed me to do a talk on how I was inspired by Sri Janaki Mata and how I found solace in Bhagavan's teachings, I was really reluctant to do so. For it is one thing to be an aspirant and practice spirituality on an intuitive basis, but very different to give a talk to an august, discerning audience. On the other hand, to partake Adhyatmic learnings about Bhagavan and Sri Mata with you all amounts to manana and nididhyasana. This is also an opportunity for me to pay my tribute to the memory of my revered Guru and mentor, Sri Siva Dheeranathan, who attained Samadhi on 1st August 2019, hardly a month ago. He was one of the prime disciples of Sri Janaki Mata in the Guru Parampara of Arunachala Ramana. In my early childhood, other than the usual image of gods, portraits of Bhagavan sitting on a boulder in the Dakshinamurti pose and that of Jnananandagiri Swamigal hung in a niche that served as a mini shrine at home. That was my first glimpse of Bhagavan. Incidentally, I had spent quite a few months at the feet of Swami Jnanananda as a 5-year-old at his Tapovanam, oblivious to the fact that he was a Mahatma. When I was in middle school, my mother told me to constantly repeat the inquiry, "Nan yaar?" In my youthful impudence, I unwittingly spurned her suggestion. However, the seed was planted. Now, I have come to know that an early introduction to spirituality would spare the seeker from the worthless task of gathering unwanted baggage, only to unlearn subsequently, and then embarking to seek the reality at a later stage in life. Needless to state, it is important that our children ought to be caught young before they go astray. Divine Providence led me to Sri Siva Dheeranathan, whose picture you see here, who was a teacher in St. Peter's High School at Tanjore. He lived in Sri Janaki Mata Ashram at her behest from the age of 17 for 76 years, having totally surrendered himself to Sri Janaki Mata. He was singularly responsible for guiding innumerable students, not only in their temporal life, but also directing them to spiritual pursuits. I did not therefore have to look elsewhere for spiritual guidance. He took me to the presence of Sri Mata in 1969, just prior to her Mahanirvana. That was when Guru Kataksham fell directly on a few of his students. A strict disciplinarian, my Guru initiated me through mantra japa and spent countless hours expounding the teachings of Sri Mata and Bhagavan. He used to lament why more people do not have a quest for the spiritual path, often citing Ramalinga Vallalar's adage, "Kadai virithen kolvarillai." He had spent a great deal of time in walking me through the import of the 3 great works, namely Akshara Manamalai, Essence of Tripura Rahasyam, and Kaivalya Navanitam, among other works. He has written expository notes on the latter, which is available at the Ashram bookstore. He has also written books on Sri Mata called Guru Mahimai and Annai Ennum Vastu, and on Bhagavan called Ramana Virundu, published by Sri Ramanasramam. Till his end, he incessantly felt the Ajaba Jaba of Arunachala Siva. Sri Mata was herself a Jivan Mukta, having attained realization at the age of 32. A significant incident in her pious life, which confirmed her supreme state, happened in the presence of Bhagavan when Sri Mata was visiting him in January 1938. Sri Mata was seated nearby Bhagavan in her exalted state. On his own, Bhagavan put forward a question, "Where is Vaikuntham?" and answered it himself, "Vikunta Manasedi Vaikuntaha," meaning the mind that draws no distinction between it and the universal self is Vaikuntham. Pointing at Sri Mata, he then said, "It is just here," thereby confirming the non-dualistic state of Sri Mata in unequivocal terms. According to Bhagavan, Sri Mata was a born jnani and he was only her Karana Guru. From then onwards, Sri Mata lived in Sahaja Nishtha, in supreme self-awareness, while performing all the mundane activities as a Grihasthasrami. She emphasized the importance of Grihasthasrama and espoused several principles both on Laukika and Alaukika planes. In this context, her life would serve as an ideal model for us as householders to live as lotus leaf on water. She laid stress on devotion to God, practice of charity, and leading an upright life while discharging one's duties. She urged devotees to conduct family worship and rituals, to follow karma and upasana marga as declared in the Bhagavad Gita, to attain chitta suddhi and asa nasam, which in turn would pave the way for adhyatma sadhana. To those who yearn for mukti, she advised nurturing divine thoughts, obliterating raga and dvesha, and engaging in satsanga, which is association with atma, spiritual literature, company of wise people, and most importantly, surrendering to the Guru while turning inwards in self-inquiry. What could be more inspirational than such wonderful principles and upadesa? Bhagavan, while referring to saintly Vagyakaras, had said, "Petru Padinar Padi Peravillai," thereby implying that the divinity of their kritis gushed forth from their inner experiences and grace of the self as Swanubhava. Sri Mata's Kirtanas were no different. Sri Mata has communicated her spiritual experiences through her devotional songs for the benefit of mankind, dwelling on such varied subjects as efficacy of Guru Bhakti, greatness of Bhagavan, what constitutes Acharam, rising of the Kundalini, Arunachala Ekatva Stotram, and so on. You will get to hear one such song on the ineffable grace and poise of Bhagavan later this morning. As a person practicing and teaching Mridangam and Layam, I have used music as a yajna for directing oneself inward to achieve the oneness and as a means of fulfillment besides serving as an entertainment. Another incident that got me thinking was when a spiritually inclined family friend, one Mr. P.N. Ramaseshan, came home and kept repeatedly asking, "Were you aware of yourself in your sleep?" and queries related to it. The barrage of questions was bewildering to me, and I set to find out serious answers through the famous booklet on Nanya. We all understand the term solace generally to mean comfort or consolation in a time of distress or sadness. However, just the fact we have come to know of Bhagavan and Sri Janaki Mata in this birth is immense Ishvara Anugraham, enough for us to be hopeful, feel firmly secure and content, and not undergo the pangs of anguish requiring solace. But for Bhagavan's infinite grace and compassion, we would have been a rudderless ship, groping in the dark to find purpose in life. Meegaman illada maga talaigalam agirupom. So then, the question of elation or sadness does not arise despite the undulations of life. No grievances or complaints have I. Kurai ondrum illai. In our formative years, we are always forbidden by the elders not to do certain this or that, born out of superstition or sheer fear of retribution by the gods. There is lack of clarity between religion and spirituality, so well clarified in Upadesa Saram. Rarely do we find someone as Bhagavan who would tell us what to do unequivocally, especially in the spiritual realm, that too with unwavering assurance, to attain deliverance from samsara. Bhagavan gave us the direct path of Atma Vichara as the panacea for all ills and to attain Atma Sakshatkara. Incidentally, it's a matter of fact that Sri Nochuranna has immensely influenced most of us in obtaining clarity to Bhagavan's teachings, helping us understand the nuances and pare down complex Vedanta for adoption in our daily life. His lucid discourses on Bhagavan's works such as Ulladu Narpadu and Anubandham, and on those treatises dear to Bhagavan such as Yoga Vasishtam, Ashtavakra Gita, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Periya Puranam, etc. have enlightened us a great deal. The best way to remember Bhagavan on this special day is to recall excerpts of teachings from the works by Bhagavan and on Bhagavan, which have served as an ongoing guide in my life. Bhagavan has assured us that happiness is our real nature and not external, and redemption is just round the corner. He declares, "You are always bliss." The sense of incompleteness is caused by the ego, which interposes between bliss and non-bliss. One must realize his self in order to open the store of unalloyed happiness. One should know how to reconcile or separate seeming contradictions so as not to be drawn in by dvandva, polarities of life, as to be wary of the distinction between day and night amidst all the turmoils of life. One has to be watchful to draw the distinction between laukika and alaukika. Affirmation by Bhagavan that Atma Vichara can be practiced anywhere, regardless of space and time, is a matter of immense comfort for those who are to move out of our native land, considered karma bhumi, to bhoga bhumi. For those engaged in professional life, destiny traverses its course, but one has to perform selfless work aligned with professional goals, with the feeling that it is the Lord who uses one to accomplish things. According to Bhagavan, work performed with attachment is a shackle. Karma done unselfishly, free from love or hatred, with detachment, without the sense of kartrutva and bhoktrutva, turning them into nishkama karma is no hindrance to realization, as it purifies the mind and helps to fix it in meditation. We all have to, perforce, resort to jeopardy vidya or gimmicks for the delusional world of vyavahara for our sustenance, but constantly seek the glorious primal wisdom being Gurupadi vidya. The phenomenal world encourages questioning at all times, to be externally inquisitive, whereas Bhagavan advocates going inward to the point of chumma iru, as questions beget questions, but silence is unceasing eloquence. How often have we heard people nonchalantly and preemptively say, "I know," in a manner of speaking, as opposed to Bhagavan's exhortation to know who really we are. Viveka and Vairagya come to our rescue. Removing longings from the worldly belongings, one can just be. Longings or viraha should be for Ishvara alone. Free will is will to be exercised only to free ourselves. Learning to live a simple life, shunning abject material orientation, helps us practice uparati. Bhagavan used to say, for the worthy disciple, the work lies within himself, not without. To find out who you are, trace the source of the ego and steadily abide as that. Atma Vichara should be made the true 24/7 activity. Loka Vichara will eventually stop. Once we set foot on the ladder of Atma Vichara, there is no turning back. In his own words, once fallen into the field of Guru's gracious look, one can never revert to the world, as surely as the prey in the tiger's jaws. The ultimate blessing of Bhagavan, as he was leaving his mortal coil, is his observation, "Where could I go? I am always here," which bestows abhayam and sustains us eternally. The only way to show our gratitude to Bhagavan is by simply leaving the baggage to him, following his teachings and remaining always as the self. Let's seek to receive his grace in container loads, not just in udrunis. I conclude by dedicating these words to Bhagavan, Sri Janaki Mata and Sri Sivadenanathan. Om Namo Ramanaya. Yato mamatma bhavasi tvameva tato navakyam mama kinchit asti yada taveshtam kurumam tataiva tvam atmanadam Ramanam vaja. We begin with a Viruttam in Saveri Ragam, Jnanam Peralam. It is a passage from Tirukkannokam depicting how Bhagavan's Kripa Kadaksham could easily grant Sakshu Dikshay to a ripe mumukshu.
Jnanam Peralam, Jnanam Peralam, Nalam Peralam, Yennalum Ananda Veettilamaralam, Ananda Veettilamaralam, Mona Nilai Katrulor Thedum Gadi Ramanan Mona Nilai Katrulor Thedum Gadi Ramanan Kannokam Petri Namadaperin Mona Nilai Katrulor Thedum Gadi Ramanan Kannokam Petri Namadaperin Ramanar Kannokam Petri Namadaperin.
The next song is Parvalar Kailai, tuned in Raga Yamuna Kalyani, that is from Desika Padikam. In this hymn, Sri Muruganar Swami praises Bhagavan for having left his abode in Kailasa and descended to Arunachala in human form to save the devotees from samsara.
Parvalar Kailai, Parvalar Kailai, Parupadam Neengi Pannavar Soodalai Vittu. Parvalar Kailai, Parupadam Neengi Pannavar Soodalai Vittu. Varoli mani pol vaatagar vaakai valar sevi madithida virumbi. Varoli mani pol vaatagar vaakai valar sevi madithida virumbi. Yer valar perundan turai அடைந்தார் போல் இழிசினன் புன் சொல்லும் வேட்டு ஏர்வலர் பெரும் நன்துறை அடைந்தார் போல் இழிசினன் புன் சொல்லும் வேட்டு சீர்வலர் அருணை சீர்வளர் அருணை செழும்பதி சேர்ந்தாய் சீர்வளர் அருணை செழும்பதி சேர்ந்தாய் தேசிக ரமண மாதேவே தேசிக ரமண மாதேவே தேசிக ரமண மாதேவே இருவராம் தெய்வ பெரியராலறிய இருவராம் தெய்வ பெரியராலறிய இவ்வொரு எதற்கென தள்ளி இருவராம் தெய்வ பெரியராலறிய இவ்வொரு எதற்கென தள்ளி பருகலாம் அணிந்த பதிவமேற்கொண்டு பணிந்தெழும் அடியவர் தமக்கு பருகலாம் அணிந்த பதிவமேற்கொண்டு பணிந்தெழும் அடியவர் தமக்கு கருவனந்தருளம் கண்கணம் பூண்டு கச்சையும் அதற்கென கட்டி கருவனந்தருளம் கண்கணம் பூண்டு கச்சையும் அதற்கென கட்டி திருவண்ணாமலையில் சிறகவிட்டிருந்தாய் திருவண்ணாமலையில் சிறகவிட்டிருந்தாய் தேசிக ரமண மாதேவே தேசிக ரமண மாதேவே தேசிக ரமண மாதேவே தேசிக ரமண மாதேவே
We will now render a song composed by Sri Janaki Mata on the ineffable grace and voice of Bhagavan in Raga Atana.
அற்புத காட்சியே அற்புத காட்சியே அருணை ரமணரின் காட்சி அற்புத காட்சியே அருணை ரமணரின் காட்சி அற்புத காட்சியே அருணை ரமணரின் காட்சி அற்புத காட்சியே கோடி கோடி கண்கள் வேண்டும் கோடி கோடி கண்கள் வேண்டும் கோடி கோடி கண்கள் வேண்டும் என் குரு ரமணரை காண அற்புத காட்சியே சாய்வும் மன்றம் தனில் சுகாசனம் தனிலே சாய்வும் மன்றம் தனில் சுகாசனம் தனிலே சகஜனிஷ்டையுடன் சாய்ந்த திருக்கோலம் சாய்வும் மன்றம் தனில் சுகாசனம் தனிலே சகஜனிஷ்டையுடன் சாய்ந்த திருக்கோலமும் சூரியன் போல் ஜோதியுடன் ஜொலிக்கும் முகமண்டலமும் சூரியன் போல் ஜோதியுடன் ஜொலிக்கும் முகமண்டலமும் முதக்க முடியாதவர் மகிமை நினைக்க முடியாது அவர் நிலைமை பதிக்க முடியாது அவர் மகிமை நினைக்க முடியாது அவர் நிலைமை பக்தர்கள் புரியும் அவர் கருணை பவபந்தம் இருக்கும் அவர் பார்வை பக்தர்கள் புரியும் அவர் கருணை பவபந்தம் இருக்கும் அவர் பார்வை நித்யானந்தர் அவரே நிர்மலரும் அவரே நித்யானந்தர் அவரே நிர்மலரும் அவரே போதஸ்வரூபமாய் நம் முன்னிருக்கும் காட்சி அற்புத காட்சியே அருணை ரமணரின் காட்சி அற்புத காட்சியே
Next is a Viruttam from Ekanma Vivekam in Ragamalika, consisting of Ananda Bhairavi, Kalyani, Bhageshwari, Ranjani and Behar. Guru Ramana, who revels in the form of pure jnana, composed these 5 verses on the self. Declared in them is the nature of reality, which destroys the illusion that the body is the self. We will then conclude with a song constituting a gist from chapter 26 of Ribhu Gita that says, abide eternally in Advaita Swarupam without the least trace of thought. The song is also in Raga Behag.
ஒருவன் முன்பாக தன்னை மறந்து தனுவே தானாயெண்ணி எண்ணில் பிறவி எடுத்து இறுதி தன்னை உணர்ந்து தானாதல் உலக சஞ்சார கனவின் விழித்தலே காங்க கணவரதும் தானிருந்தும் தானாக தன்னை தானானவன் தானிருந்தும் தானாக தன்னை தான் நான்யவன் யானிருக்கும் ஸ்தானம் எது என கேட்பானுக்கு யானிருக்கும் ஸ்தானம் எது என கேட்பானுக்கு யான் எவன் எவ்விடம் யானுளன் என்ற யானவன் எவ்விடம் யானுளன் என்ற யானவன் எவ்விடம் யானுளன் என்ற யானவன் எவ்விடம் யானுளன் என்ற மதுபானனை ஈடுபகர் மதுபானனை ஈடுபகர் சச்சிதானந்த Sachidananda 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 தன்னுள் தனுவிருக்க தானஜட உடலம் தன்னுள் தனுவிருக்க தானஜட உடலம் தன்னுள் இருப்பதா தானும் அன்னவன் தன்னுள் இருப்பதா தானும் அன்னவன் சித்திரத்தின் உள்ளுளது அச்சித்திரத்துக்காதார சித்திரத்தின் உள்ளுளது அச்சித்திரத்துக்காதார வஸ்திரம் என்றென்வான் போல்வான் வஸ்திரம் என்றென்வான் போல்வான் வஸ்துவாம் 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 பொன்னுக்கு வேறாக பூஷணம் உள்ளதோ பொன்னுக்கு வேறாக பூஷணம் உள்ளதோ தன்னை விடுத்து தனுவேது தன்னை விடுத்து தனுவேது தன்னை தனுவென்பான ஞானி தனுவென்பான ஞானி தனுவென்பான ஞானி தானாக கொள்வான் தன்னை அறிந்த ஞானி தானாக கொள்வான் தன்னை அறிந்த ஞானி தானாக கொள்வான் தன்னை அறிந்த ஞானி தரிப்பாய் தனதொழியால் தனதொழியால் தனது ஒளியால் தனதொழியால் 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 எப்போதும் உள்ளதோ ஏகான்ம வஸ்துவே எப்போதும் உள்ளதோ ஏகான்ம வஸ்துவே அப்போத வஸ்துவை ஆதிகுரு చెప్పాది அப்போத வஸ்துவை ஆதிகுரு చెప్పాది చెప్పి தெரியுமா செய்தனரே చెప్పి தெரியுமா செய்தனரே எவர் చెప్పి தெரிவிப்பர் எவர் చెప్పి தெரிவிப்பர் చెప్పుக சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அனவரதம் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அனவரதம் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அம்மயமாய் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அம்மயமாய் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அனவரதம் அம்மயமாய் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அனவரதம் அம்மயமாய் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே எதனிடையில் ஆதி இல்லை அந்தமும் இல்லை எதனிடையில் ஆதி இல்லை அந்தமும் இல்லை எதனிடையில் ஆதி இல்லை அந்தமும் இல்லை அதனிடையில் சங்கற்பம் அனும் இன்றி சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே எதனிடையில் ஆதி இல்லை அந்தமும் இல்லை அதனிடையில் சங்கற்பம் அனுவும் இன்றி சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அனவரதம் அம்மயமாய் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே 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 எதனிடையில் யானாகும் நீயுமாகும் எதுதானே யானாகும் நீயுமாகும் எதுதானே மற்றும் உள்ளோர் ஆறுமாகும் எதுதானே யானாகும் நீயுமாகும் எதுதானே மற்றும் உள்ளோர் ஆறுமாகும் எதுதானே அகில அதிஷ்டானமாகும் எதுதானே அகில அதிஷ்டானமாகும் அதுதானே நானின் நிச்சயத்தான் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே எதுதானே யானாகும் நீயுமாகும் எதுதானே மற்றும் உள்ளோர் ஆறுமாகும் எதுதானே அகில அதிஷ்டானமாகும் அதுதானே நான் நிச்சயத்தால் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே அனவரதம் அம்மயமாய் சுகிதிருப்பாய் மனமே